Hi there, welcome to CallRail 101. We're excited to have you on board and wanted to use the webinar to give you an overview of what CallRail is and talk about a few important tools and features to get you up to speed with the app. Before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that we do have our chat open, and I strongly encourage you guys to ask any questions throughout the webinar over any of the topics I cover. Also, if you have any additional questions after the webinar is over, please feel free to send your questions to feedback@callrail.com. Okay, now that we've covered the basics, let's go ahead and dive right in. Today, we will be discussing three main topics to get you a solid foundation of the app. First, we'll cover how to create the tracking number that's right for your business. Then, we'll discuss the dashboard and Copilot features and how they can help you get insights on calls made to your business. And finally, I'll be going over general account settings to ensure we have the basics covered for account setup. For demo purposes, I went ahead and created a new trial account for myself. From here, I can go ahead and start creating my first tracking number. Here you see the simple modal pop up, and it gives you the option of creating either an online or offline number. If you plan on tracking a billboard or direct mail, you can choose the offline option. If you're looking to track online visitors, you can choose the online option. Pretty simple. So let's start by clicking on the online option. Now for the online options, it depends on what you're trying to capture. Is it traffic coming to your website or somewhere else, like a call extension or email signature? Let's go and click on the website option. Now if you look at the top of the modal, you will see this green progress bar. This cool feature lets you know how far along you are in the process. So currently we're 30% done with creating a new number. Okay, here we have two options based on the depth in which you would like to capture the traffic to your site. If you want details down to the visitor level and see which keywords are driving call traffic, best option is to select track each visitor. If you're interested in capturing information on a source like Google paid search, you can select track a campaign. One thing to keep in mind if you're wanting to integrate CallRail data with AdWords, tracking each visitor is the option you want to pick. If you only care about Google Analytics integration, then tracking a campaign will work just fine. Let's start by creating a number that tracks a source or campaign. Having a relevant name for the source is important because later on, it will be easier to categorize which source your information in CallRail is coming from. So if I'm interested in capturing traffic coming from Google, I'll simply put in Google Tracker. And over here, you will put in the business number to which the tracking numbers will be forwarded. Okay, let's go to the next step. Here we see a couple of different options to pick from. If you would like to track search visitors, you have the option of picking from Google, Yahoo, Bing, or Alt Search. You can even specify whether you're interested in organic, paid, local, organic and local, or all. You can choose web referrals to track visitors coming from sites like Yelp.com. You can track specific landing pages by using the landing URL option and inserting the URL in this blank over here. We also see a lot of users using the landing param option to track social media sources like Facebook or Twitter. Direct is for all traffic coming directly to your website. And finally, always swap is used to show the same track number regardless of the source. So let's go back and choose the search option, and we'll click on Google, and then we'll click on all traffic. So now here you see options for you to choose a number local to the area code of my destination number. I can either choose one of these numbers, or I can just go ahead and change the area code specific to a different geolocation I'm interested in tracking. Cool, so we're already 85% done. Now last step, before we hit the magic button to create our tracking number, you can turn on the whisper message. This lets you know which tracking number the customer is calling from. So since I want Google information only, I can name it Google Tracker. This means that every time I receive a call, I'll get a message that says, "Call from Google Tracker," and only I can hear that message before being connected to the caller. Also, you can record the call if you'd like to listen to it later, but you will need to check the local laws before you can enable this feature. All right, let's go ahead and activate this number. Now, this button will take you to your dashboard, which is actually one of the next topics I was going to cover in the webinar. But before we start exploring the dashboard, let's go back and create a keyword tracker. Something to note, you will see some helpful tips pop up from our team members from time to time to help out with basics and setting up the tracking numbers. That said, let's go ahead and go back and create a keyword tracker. So we'll come to all numbers here, click on add number, go back to online, website, and then we'll click on track each visitor. We'll put in the destination number. Again, typically it's your business number. And I do want to point out that we have these helpful blue links, and you can hover over these for feature details just in case you ever get confused. Then we'll choose a pool size. For keyword trackers, you have to have a minimum of 8 numbers, which is also set as a default here. But feel free to select as many as you want depending on the hourly traffic you're expecting on your site. Also, you're only allowed one keyword tracker per company, so if you would like to add a keyword tracker, you can simply add a new company to your agency account. One thing to keep in mind, even though these 8 numbers are considered part of one tracking pool, these are separate numbers and will be billed accordingly. So in this case, I have one source tracker that I just created, then 8 numbers in a keyword tracker, so I have a total of 9 numbers. Next, we'll select the traffic we're interested in. I don't want to track anyone and everyone coming to the website, so I'll select Google traffic only, as this is where I mainly advertise. All right, let's go to the next step. This is another cool feature. If you want to get a tracking number in your region, you can select the local option, and the drop-down gives you the option to select one of the few local area codes, or you can go ahead and pick a toll-free number. Next, again, you can create a whisper message and record calls if you like, and now we can go ahead and go back to the dashboard. One very important thing to note is the yellow highlight at the top of the screen. You will need to install this JavaScript code in order for the tracking numbers to actually get data you need. So let's click on this link. Now the script you see highlighted in green will need to go on every page of your site. So either you or a developer on your team will need to put this in the body tag of every page on site. Also, good to know, this code is company specific and not number specific. Okay, now let's summarize what we've covered so far. We learned the difference between a source tracker, which is used to track a source like Google paid search, and a keyword tracker, which is used to track at the visitor level. Then we created a pool of keyword trackers, and then learned that a minimum of 8 numbers is required to create a keyword tracker, and you can only have one keyword tracker per company. We also learned the importance of installing dynamic number insertion to enable your online tracking numbers that will be used on your site. Finally, we covered for a Google AdWords integration, a keyword tracker is required, and for Google Analytics integration, a source tracker should work just fine. Okay, now let's go back to the dashboard. I will be using a demo account since the new numbers we created will have no data to show. The dashboard is a really great analytical tool that gives you the insights you need for each call. The dashboard can be found under the Activities tab. This tool keeps you updated on the general health of the account. If you would like to dive into more specifics, just click the More Filters button here. Here you see 2 drop-downs. The first one lets you select the type of tags you or your team have added to an individual call, like a new lead call or a test call. The second drop-down lets you select by the type of call itself, like a missed call or an incoming call. You can also select a specific date range for the data. Now let's click on Export Calls. This cool feature actually allows you to download a report by selecting a date range and by a specific company or account you're managing within your agency account. You can even choose to see only missed calls or answered calls. If you know that calls for good leads last at least 30 seconds, you can even set the minimum duration here as well. Now let's go back to the dashboard again. If you scroll down, you will see the report details and notice that there are a few icons you can click on next to each call. The play button means that the call was recorded, and by clicking the button, you can listen to the recorded call and even download it. If you'd like, you can even add notes to a call. For example, you can make a note to call the person back. The I button is for call details. When you click on it, you'll be able to view users' details like which tracking number they called, the source of the call, and the caller's history, and you can actually view the recordings here, follow up with a person by returning their call or texting them back, and you can even edit the call by adding a new tag to it. Okay, now let's explore the Reports tab and select a specific company. As you can see, the reporting is split into two different drop-downs, acquisition and behavior. The power of these two reporting fields combined will help you make decisions that are best for your business, including where to invest your time and resources, all according to the performance of your call campaigns. The reports available in the acquisition section will give you insights into what sources and numbers are the best performers and driving the most calls to your business. To do so, we can click on the drop downs on the right, and you will see that you can choose performance by a specific source, keywords, or landing page URLs, and you can even take it a step further by selecting the kind of interaction, whether it's first or last or all. If you want to see how your numbers are performing, simply click on usage by numbers, and you can see the details here. Now let's click on Call Attribution Report. This report includes a pie chart that illustrates which of your call campaigns are receiving the most amount of traffic. Below the pie chart, you're able to view details on your campaigns, including the total amount of calls received by a tracking number, how many first-time callers dialed your business, and the average duration of those calls. The reports available in the Behavior section will help decipher when and how your calls are being handled. This includes your peak call times to ensure your team is readily available for calls and how many calls are being missed during those peak calling hours. Next, let's go ahead and head over to the Copilot section. This is usually where I spend a lot of my time in the app. Now here you can see who's calling you now, the calls that are currently active, and the recent callers that have called your business. So let's click on this user, and as you can see, you have the option of texting or calling this person back, or even listen to their call recording if the call recording was actually activated. This page was recently updated to mirror the call details page we just covered, and you can easily see details here and interact with your customers without having to go back and forth too much between Copilot and the call details page. A frequently used feature within our app is a place an outbound call, and it's at the top left here. And let's go ahead and click on this button. So let's say you're trying to call a customer from your business line. You'll put that number here. Then from the drop down, you can choose which tracking number you want to call the customer from. So when the call is made, the customer will see this tracking number and not your actual business number. And here you can simply put the number for the person you're trying to call. You can also record outbound calling if you have previously enabled this ability in your account level settings. Once you hit begin call, you will receive a call from the tracking number, and an automated message will ask you to press 1 to call the customer. Now let's X out of this modal. Another cool feature is a text feature. By clicking this button, you can send text using the tracking numbers you've created. So let's click on send a text message. Now in this little modal, you can select the tracking number from which you would like to send the text, and then select the number that will receive the text. Okay, now let's summarize what we just covered. We went over reporting and dashboard. We also covered how to look at call details, notes, and recordings for individual calls. We covered what attribution and behavior settings are. We also reviewed the reports dropdown and how to export a report in CSV form. Then in Copilot, we went over the visitor timeline that contains user history, how to place outbound calls, and send text messages to your clients. Now let's go back to the settings, and I would like to show you guys some additional in-app tools that I promise you guys will find helpful. First, let's go and click on integrations. Let's quickly look at them and just see how CallRail can help you provide robust data with the integrations like Google Analytics and AdWords. We've already covered dynamic number insertion and its importance for activating your online tracking numbers. Another common integrations is a Salesforce integration. A lot of users implement this to report leads for incoming calls. And also, we are creating a new product page, and that keeps you updated on the new integrations we are adding to the CallRail app. Okay, now if you would like to add users to your account, you would click on Users, Invite User, Create User, and this way you can fill in the information for your clients or coworkers so they can go and get the access to the app. Once you fill in their information in this form, they will get an email notification to log into the app. Now let's go to Call Flow Builder. This is one of my favorite features within the app because it gives me control over how I would like to guide a call made to my business. So let's go ahead and create a new call flow. Again, if you would like to record calls, you can hit the on button. Then you can go ahead and add a greeting. So this case, the recording is on, so you could say something like, this call may be monitored for quality assurance. Let's actually go through these features really quick. You can use the dial feature to forward a call to a specific destination number, like your cell phone. You can use a simul call to have multiple phone rings at the same time. Let's say you have a staff of 2 people. So with the simul call feature, when someone calls your business, the phone for both the staff members will go off, and whoever picks up first gets the call, and the other phone will stop ringing automatically. Round robin is commonly used by sales teams to evenly distribute calls to all the team members. You can use the SIP feature to have a phone ring at a specific SIP endpoint. The voicemail feature can be used to set up a voicemail, and you can even have your own recordings you can insert here. The menu feature is pretty interactive and helps guide a caller to reach specific teams within your company, like sales or marketing. So you can even schedule a call if you'd like. Let's say your business is open on weekdays from 9 to 6. So we just went ahead and chose a schedule, and it will only accept calls during this time. And for calls made outside those hours, you can just go ahead and set up a voicemail option. You can use the tag feature to tag calls. Like if someone calls and the call was not answered, you can tag it as a missed call. And finally, you can choose to simply hang up the call. Last thing, please make sure to check out our support documentation under the Account tab. You will find articles related to setup, what kind of tracking numbers to pick, and an in-depth explanation of how each tool or feature works. You can even contact our support team by clicking this button on the top right. To summarize, we covered how to set up different types of integrations, how to add users, different call flow features, and where to find support documentation to learn more about CallRail features and tools. This sums up our webinar, and hopefully you guys found this webinar helpful and are excited to get started with the app. There's also a survey and a poll at the end that asks if you found this webinar helpful and for some general feedback. Once again, if you have any additional feedback, please feel free to email feedback@callrail.com. And for more technical questions and insights, you can simply email support@callrail.com. In a follow-up email, you will also see a link to a recorded version of this webinar and can view it later for anything you might have missed and even share it with your team. Thanks again for joining the webinar, and happy calling.